Hello, this is Jim Pelligrino, your host for the hour. Our guests today are from the worlds of medical schools, financial services, and healthcare. Dr. Bruce Keppen, founding dean, Dr. Frank H. Netter, School of Medicine at Quinnipiac University, Joel Johnson, certified financial planner, owner Johnson & Bernetti, and Renee Irvin, CEO, Healthwise Medical Associates. So sit back, relax, don't move, and enjoy the hour. Hello, this is Jim Pelligrino, your host for the hour. Welcome back to our next segment of the show, and our guest is Renee Irvin. Renee, pleasure to have you on the show. Renee is the CEO of Healthwise Medical Associates. She's also the Compliance and Risk Management Officer of that firm. So, Renee, give us a quick overview of Healthwise.
Healthwise is a physician-owned primary care practice, which is a lot different than other large groups in the state in that our physicians own and run the group. And we are primary care only, pediatrics, family practice, and internal medicine. And I am the CEO, and I try to guide them to make the right decisions.
Well, how many locations do you have?
We have 8 locations.
Where are they?
Manchester, Coventry, Tolland, and Vernon, Rockville.
Okay,
so we are all east of the river.
East of the river. Mm-hmm. And the group was formed when?
1998. We'll be celebrating our 15-year anniversary in October.
Congratulations. Why was Healthwise formed?
Well, initially it was formed because the doctors were afraid of, at that time, hospitals were buying up a lot of practices,
right,
and were buying up these practices and getting more lucrative insurance contracts. So the doctors didn't want to be, at that time, they formed a group to protect themselves, to make themselves strong, to withstand, hospital takeover. Mm-hmm. That has slowed down, but now, again, hospitals are starting to acquire practices because they're trying to form accountable care organizations. Mm-hmm. But because we're privately owned and we stand strong.
It's true to some degree, too, Renee, that doctors are looking to work for hospitals, right? Don't they call them hospitalists?
Well, hospitalists only work in the hospital.
Right.
And we love using hospitalists, although I think it's not as good for the patient as it used to be when your family doctor came and saw you every morning. Mm-hmm. Now the standard of care is when you go in the hospital, you will not see your family doctor.
That's correct.
You will see a hospitalist who is at the hospital 24 hours a day, a group of physicians. And my doctors now have said, with the exception of pediatrics, the pediatricians, of course, still go to the hospital for the newborns.
Right.
But they wouldn't want to go back to that system because what you would do is you'd get up at the crack of dawn, see all your hospital patients, go to the office work. So now we can see more patients because our physicians do not have to go to the hospital.
So you are primarily a primary
care.
Primary care. Okay.
We're your first stop.
All right. What are the benefits of this model?
Well, we know you,
mm-hmm,
and because we are an accredited NCQA Level 3 medical home.
And what's the acronym stand for?
National Commission on Quality Assurance,
mm-hmm,
and it is the gold standard for accreditation for physician offices, and it's very rigorous. But our mission is, with this primary care model, is come to us first, because we think we can also help control costs, readmissions to hospitals. We monitor everyone who's discharged from the hospital. If they meet the criteria, we give them a house call. We follow up, we call them within 2 business days of discharge. Because when the hospitalist model, they also do the hospital discharge, and because they haven't known you their whole life, the discharge instructions, if the patient has to be out at 1 o'clock, no matter mm-hmm, how old the patient is, mm-hmm, if 1 o'clock comes and the wife isn't there, they get their discharge orders and they go home. Mm-hmm. And they don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So we make sure they call them. So we are your primary care doctor, and we want to know everything about your health.
So how do I get to know you, though, Renee? I mean, if I'm a person who has a medical problem, mm-hmm, how do I get to know about Healthwise?
Well, being that we're east of the river, perhaps we're not as well known as some larger groups. Pro Health is one, is
Right,
very
right,
large,
right,
has a very
very
large
large.
presence. We, although on the east side of the river, we do serve 60% of the population in Talon County is associated with one of our physicians,
Oh,
one of their
okay.
family members. So we do have a large catchment.
So there's a
area.
strong presence, very strong
Very
presence,
on
east side of the river. Okay.
But I always make jokes about that. But we have a website. I do advertising, but it's all east of the river
Yeah, yeah.
advertising.
Okay. Now, just a couple of quick questions. Home care versus long-term care, nursing homes. Which direction do you see the medical care going in?
Well, one of our quality goals, and one of the reasons we see people upon discharge so quickly, is we have a house call program, which is we've had it for almost 11 years, and there aren't many people even to this day that have a house call program.
You talk house call literally.
Literally, we have an APRN who goes to the patient's home all the time for our chronically ill patients, and it is a way that we try to manage to keep them out of the hospital or out of the nursing home. If you talk to any patient, they would rather be at home.
Yeah, they really would.
And it's also good for us to get into the home. I mean, there is visiting nurse, and you have to realize that a house call is not a visiting nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Visiting nurse can't write prescriptions. They only follow orders. We give a real house call, just like back in the day. When the doctor, when you had tonsillitis and the doctor came and all 6 of your brothers and sisters and he had his black bag, that's what we do. We've been doing it for 11 years, and she has a laptop and she's hooked right up into the EMR. And the primary care physician who has ordered the house call knows everything that's going on.
So really, we're talking about everything on this side of patient care. Are people who really need skilled nursing homes, Renee, right? I mean, you're talking 24-hour care, but you're talking about everything to the left of that. Really is a
If
candidate.
they need that, they do go, but we want to try to avoid that.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but there are some people who have a legitimate need
Yes.
to be
Oh,
like
yes.
that.
Oh,
But
yes.
everything left of that
Yes.
is what you're talking about,
Right.
are the candidates for it. How about, how are you being affected by the Affordable Care Act, affectionately known as Obamacare?
Well, for us, it's in primary care, the Affordable Care Act is a wonderful thing. We have many patients who worked for Pratt Whitney, they worked in regular jobs who have been laid off. Now they're able to qualify for some Medicaid benefits. They may have a small copay. Just because they no longer have insurance, we're going to continue to see them. So I know that one of our doctors remarked how great it was that he could keep seeing all his patients and he was going to get paid. We're one of the few groups that takes Medicaid on our side of the river right now, new Medicaid patients, including Medicare patients. A lot of primary care doctors don't want to take Medicare either.
Because of the reimbursement?
Because of the reimbursement, but we have taken advantage of, one, the Affordable Care Act does have a enhancement that they pay if you see their Medicaid patients. And that could be why they put a price tag on Obamacare. But it gives, because a lot of people have Medicaid, no one wants to see them.
If the Affordable Care Act is fully implemented, not if, but when it's fully implemented, I mean, they're going to go through a lot of stuff, talking about health care for the whole country. I mean, we're talking about tens of millions more people coming into the system. What kind of an impact do you see that having on your company?
Well, the impact is we're already double and triple booked. One of the things I'm proud of is that we always have same-day openings. If you need to be seen and you're our patient, we will see you. I'm trying to recruit as much as possible. I can recruit physician's assistants and nurse practitioners, and they're wonderful. And they
Is there a shortage of them,
well,
Renee?
they're starting to get to be.
Starting to get to be.
Because there's a shortage of doctors. So the salaries that we're offering to physician's assistants and nurse practitioners are sometimes come close to the salary you might 5 years ago offer a new physician. And what we have to offer a physician in primary care, unfortunately, sometimes a salary could be larger than what the doctor who owns the practice is making. But we won't survive without that. Now, we do get some, the hospital does give loan forgiveness because if it's a physician shortage area, they are allowed to give us a loan guarantee. But the physician does have to stay in the area for 3 years, the underserved area for 3 years.
Yeah, the first guest I had on the show, Renee, Dr. Bruce Keppen, who's the founding dean of the Quinnipiac Medical School. I've had him on 3 times, watching him, open this medical school. And one of the things he said is one of their primary missions is primary care doctors. And he was talking about this tremendous shortage, as you and I are right now. And essentially I said to him, well, the numbers don't add up. I mean, the number of doctors versus the number that are coming in. And he said exactly what you said. He said, we're going to make up the difference with the nurse practitioners, with physicians
Quinnipiac has a wonderful physician's assistant program.
Really do.
And we've gotten a lot of their graduates.
Yeah, their School of Allied Health.
Correct, yes, School of Allied Health Medicine, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've gotten outstanding providers from them, and they've stayed with us a long time.
How about electronic medical records? What's your view on that?
Well, I love them. We've had them for over 6 years. Again, we were one of the first groups east of the river in our neighborhood to get them. We paid for them ourselves. Now the hospitals are giving incentives to pay for 80% of it, but we paid for it ourselves, and it's paid us back in many ways. We were able to qualify for some, it's called meaningful use incentives.
Right.
And we've gotten 3 payments so far, 2 for pediatrics, 1 for Medicare. And also
you were actually ahead of the curve.
Yes,
You really
I
were,
have to
Renee.
give credit to our president at the time, Dr. Gordon Brody.
You were ahead of the
He
curve.
and I said, we're either going to succeed or we're going to go down together in a ball of flames.
Flames, yeah. Do you have concerns, or have your patient expressed concerns about the security aspect of it?
Yes.
What's your view of that, Renee?
Well, we take that very seriously. Before you can obtain meaningful use, you have to go through a rigorous security process, and filling out and going through those policies and procedures and implementing those took me longer than applying for the meaningful use funds. And we learned a lot during that process. We had started out with just 1 person in our EMR department, and now we outsource that function to a group called Medical Practice Partners, who takes care of all of our EMR and IT needs, and we take it very seriously.
Okay, so I guess your position is that although you are concerned about it, you think with adequate controls,
yes.
your patients are going to be safe in terms of their security.
I have to believe that. Or how can we go forward? I mean, the government does want us to have, and patients do want to have access to their own medical record electronically. So as many people that are worried about privacy, those are the same people who also say, I would love to go online at any age. I would love to go online and see my record.
But if I were a patient of yours, Renee, there's me having access to it, there's you having access to it, there's a hospital having access to it, and the referrals, any referrals you make,
Right
they all
now,
have
they
that.
don't have access to the
Who's
EMR.
they?
The hospital does not have access to our patients' EMR record.
How about referrals?
And the referrals do not, but what we do have is we print out a summary that we will fax through the EMR to the referring doctor, but they cannot currently call us up and say, yes, Mr. Smith, go right in there and grab his record. They just can't do that. It's one of my dreams, how it can be done securely.
Yeah, I'm interested. The other thing is, we got about 1 minute left, and
sorry.
Renee, I'm interested in, as the CEO of the organization, part of your mission statements were to anticipate the needs of the health career field. Now, we only got 30 seconds to answer this.
Oh, dear.
But as a CEO, I mean, your field changes daily.
Well, you know what? Here's how my mission, how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to go for anything that I feel is fad-like or the flavor of the day. I'm going to go with tried and true methods to keep us in contention for contracting. One is through accreditation of the NCQA. EMRs are not going away. So I align myself with those 2 quality initiatives that I know are not the new fad of the week.
Okay, that's going to have to be the last word. We run out of time. I very much enjoyed it. And you've got a very successful company. And best of luck in the future.
I'm very proud.
Renee, pleasure to have you on
Thank
board.
you.
Thank you. And we'll be back next month.